I grew up in Macau, was born here. When I grew up, how should I put this? I was about 16 or 17 years old at the time. I joined a Macau Triad group. I was responsible to look in the casinos for gamblers who had lost all their money to see if they needed to borrow money from us. Of course, we are going to charge high interest. In English, we are called loan sharks. We will go to a coffee shop or someplace, have a coffee and talk about the terms. Then we will give them a loan. After we would lend them the money, I watched them gamble. It is good for us if they win. They could repay us sooner. But if they lost, we had ways to collect the debt. Sometimes we kept them in a hotel room and kept their identification documents, passport, ID card away from them. When a family showed up with the money they owned, we would release the documents. Some other times, we would follow them back to Hong Kong to collect the debt.
Crime and corruption thrive in a culture where gambling is perceived by many as a legitimate means of gaining wealth. Luck and success become intertwined. They are even linked to Taoist worship practices where offerings are laid at the feet of idols in temples with an expectation of favor in return. When the favor does not come, when the money is gone, people become desperate, and loan sharks are waiting in the shadows.
I have been a consultant psychiatrist in Macau for a long time, and in the last 6 to 10 years, it is my observation of Macau that the society has changed dramatically.
We have a saying, losing is all because of winning. It is because if you win the first time you gamble, troubles follow. After that, you will continue to gamble, and then you will become a compulsive gambling addict.
As long as this materialistic mindset exists, there will be disappointed losers and an endless market for organized crime. But there are other factors that contribute to gambling addiction and societal decline.
In 2007, one of the questions that our UCLA Gambling Studies program wanted to take on was, do Asian Americans have a higher risk to develop gambling addictions? Those in the Asian American communities oftentimes have much higher stigma about mental health issues. They don't talk about problems. They don't talk about, quote, dirty laundry. So as a result, when one develops a problem controlling over their gambling, that problem is oftentimes covered up, it's buried, it's not discussed. And so by the time that person is ready to seek help, that damage is actually much greater.
In this instance, it is Asian cultural factors, not the geographic location, that facilitates gambling-related issues. What applies in America also applies around the world. But Macau does offer us a first-hand look at the inherent danger of sudden gambling industry expansion. The opening of Macau to multinational gaming corporations in 2002 came with stipulations. Among them was the requirement that a large percentage of jobs be allocated to the local population. Suddenly, the Macanese were in demand for high-paying jobs, but they were, and are, required to work long hours in broken shifts set to satisfy the resorts. As a result, the social fabric of the Macanese has been adversely affected, turning many into workaholics for financial reward. Personal relationships have been injured, families have been divided, spiritual beliefs and worship have given way to the religion of greed and materialism. The temptation to engage in drugs, alcohol, and gambling have greatly increased.
I was able to visit Macau about 2 years ago and spent a lot of time in the casinos and talking to the local communities and academic centers that study gambling. There's this term, the golden handcuff, that I learned, where a lot of the Macau residents talked about this situation where the casinos have brought incredible prosperity to Macau and often increased wages, increased opportunities, but at the same time, not necessarily improve the quality of life or raise the level of, quote, psychological freedom, if you will. There's a dependency there, is that if this is the only industry or trade that's available and we don't actually control it or have it regulated as tightly as possible, you really are beholden to it. So hence the term the golden handcuff.
The golden handcuffs in Macau shine for all to see. They appear to be the solution to many problems, just as gambling does. But their application results in bondage.